From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production, the NFL Bet Exchange, hosted by my man, Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and the Don of Cape Cod, Jeff Dawson.
What's up, world? It is time for the NFL Bet Exchange with your host, Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and the Don of Cape Cod, Jeff Dawson. What's going on, Mr. Dawson?
You know, it's week 10 already. We are past the halfway point. Last week was landmines galore, was able to have a good week, a nice bounce back to get us, I think, right around plus 20 units again as we head to week 10. I'm excited. Nice card this week. A few landmines as always, but we'll see. There's money to be made, but it's also money to be had as well. But we're always on the caution side on our side here at ECSI.
Well, we already know 2 legends in the game. Let's go ahead and make these folks some money. But you know what? What happened last week though was pretty good. Pretty much last week was I went 7-7. Jeff went ahead and went 9-5 last week as well too. I don't have the image up right now, but you guys know what the deal is and everything like that. Jeff 9-5. I'm 7-7. Jeff is absolutely crushing me on the season when it comes to picking these games as well too. So you guys know that you're in good hands because you're winning money each and every Sunday. So let's go ahead and jump into our Thursday night football game, and that's going to be one that's going to be between the Miami Dolphins and the Baltimore Ravens. So, pretty much we did have that going on tonight. So, this should be a lot of fun. So, we got the Ravens and the Dolphins. So, pretty much what goes on in this spot right here, Jeff, is that you have 2 teams coming off fresh off the wins, but we have a bit of a problem this year with the Ravens. The Ravens aren't a great covering team, Jeff. This season they're not, and Sunday should have proved to everybody that it's tough to trust this team. But when you're playing 3 days later against a team that just got done beating up another team that was 1-8, both teams were only one win teams on the season. So it does make a whole lot of sense that that team might be able to have some momentum coming in, step it up, but most likely they're going to probably get popped. And from what I see in my notes, you have the Ravens who are 2-1 on the road. They're 1-2 against the spread. 5-2 straight up is the favorite. 3-4 against the spread is the favorite. But one thing's working in their favor. They're 3-2 against the AFC. The Dolphins 1-3 at home, and then they are 0-6 straight up as an underdog this year. And they've only covered once as an underdog this year as well too, out of the 5 out of 6 times that, and so that means they've lost 5 out of the 6 times that they've been the dog. And then when it comes to and this is covering only, that was the Raider game. And then when it comes to against they're 2-5. They played 7 games against the AFC, and they're 2-5, and pretty much that's against the spread and straight up. So when I go down and I look at everything that kind of comes into play, where I'm going with this one, Mr. Dawson, is I'm going to go ahead and take the Ravens tonight with the 7.5. I think that the Ravens are going to be good money tonight, and it's Lamar's homecoming. He is from Miami, so let's see how it shakes out. What are you thinking, Jeff?
I have flashbacks of a couple of years ago, opening day, and I think Baltimore might have been a 2-point favorite at Miami. And I just remember Lamar going off, and I think they won like 49-0. I think it was a couple of years ago. They scare the crap out of me. I just was looking at some notes here at Don Best Pops. You got the Dolphins at 2-7. You got the Jacksonville Jaguars at 2-6, and you have where's the other one? I have one more. Washington football team 2-6. Why do I bring this up? Washington is at home. They're 9.5-point underdogs against the Bucs. Jacksonville's on the road at Indy. and they're 10.5-point underdogs. Yet the lonely Dolphins at 2-7 are only 7.5-point underdogs. 8 at South Point right now. My point is this: the computer model says 6.5. Pinnacle opened it at 7. The public is 71% in and locked in on the Ravens at 7.5. It will be 8 at game time. This smells so fishy. No pun intended for the Dolphins here. I'm taking the Dolphins plus the 8 here. We bought the hook for no reason at all. It just smells like, it smells ugly. Their team totals at 20.5, under 139. So what I like to say to everyone is this: can they get to 21? Can they get to 23? Can they get to 24? Okay. I think they can. I think they're sneaky today. We're going to take the Dolphins plus the 8, Pops.
Right. And I know where you're going, because they have a good enough defense to keep Lamar in check. But this is just one little fact before we move on to the next game. The Ravens have won their last 3 games against the Dolphins, and each of these games have been by 30 points or better. In 2016, they beat them 38-6. 2017, beat them 40-zip. And the same opening day game that you talked about, they dropped 59 points that day, beat them 59-10. Nobody has had 3 straight wins with 30-plus or better since the 49ers over the Falcons for a 2-year stretch in 94-95. And we both know that's at the time when the Falcons used to be an NFC West team. So, yeah, that's very intriguing with that right there. But, Jeff, you're on to something, because they do have the defense that can give Lamar fits tonight. And that's why the Dolphins seem very intriguing. And if anything, if you really love the Ravens, then you would probably have them a little bit higher than this. You're putting them in a position where you're going to try to get this to be an over bet, and you're going to hope that, the Dolphins still cover, because I think Vegas is riding with them tonight. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. And I don't like to talk like that either, because Vegas be riding with whoever got the money that they can put into the vault. At the end of the day, they could give 2 F's about either side. They like taking money. That's what they like to do. Their job is to give you money. You know what I mean? Because they've already had a good day on slots and tables. That's what you bettors got to understand. Sports betting is not going to keep any casino in business. Seriously, that's why they got slots and tables, because that's what the bread and butter is. You're just a luxury. All right, so we got the Falcons at the Cowboys. Falcons feeling good about themselves right now, brother. They are a team that is been playing some pretty hard the last few weeks. I'm looking at their last few games right now as well too. They got a good win last week as a dog, and yes, we gave that out. Jeff had the points, I had the money line, but regardless, though, Falcons took care of their business and they look good doing it. And see, that's the charity that Vegas gives you. A lot of people got duped in the Saints because they have this idea that the Falcons are a really bad team, but what people fail to realize is they have a quarterback that's been in the league 10 plus years and was the MVP at one point as well too. So you got to stop overlooking what the Falcons can do week in and week out. They were at the top of the pinnacle. They were the top team in the NFC at one point in the Matt Ryan tenure. So they're going to be dangerous any given Sunday. I know that me and Jeff both have said this, that Matt Ryan is the king of getting you to fourth and go, getting you to the 2-yard line and getting you a field goal. But we know that's old Matt Ryan. But the Matt Ryan, the young Matt Ryan and my prime Matt Ryan, oh, that guy used to put up 40 on the board, no problem, especially in Atlanta. That's what kills me the most, Jeff, is that they don't win in Atlanta anymore. That's the biggest problem. But let's look at this. Since the bye week, they've won their last 2 out of 3 games. And since starting the season 0-2, they're 4-2. So they're playing much better football than they did the first 2 weeks of the season. And people have to understand, they got beat the first 2 weeks of the season 80-31 in those 2 games. They got absolutely rocked by Philly and Tampa Bay. They have every single one of their games has been a close game since. The highest amount margin of points in a game was the 6-point loss to Carolina back on week 8. So you have a Falcons team coming in here very good, and you're giving them +9, and you're giving them 9.5 points in this spot as well too. And the Cowboys are coming off one of the bigger upsets of the season, which is going to be one of the biggest upsets of the season. But the reason why it was one of the biggest upsets of the season because the Cowboys were oversell, and a lot of people overlook the fact that the Broncos always give Dallas a tough time, and the Broncos came into the game 4-4. So there was mad disrespect going on before the game from the line, from the way that the talking heads talked about, because everybody has this idea that the Cowboys are now a Super Bowl team, regardless of anything, just because they started off the season so well. They started off the season so well was because they were able to keep teams out there for the whole game, pretty much point blank. They had 30 more plays ran on Sunday, so we found out pretty much what the Achilles heel is for Dallas. If you don't let them run over 80 plays, then it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for them to beat you. And I think that the Falcons can figure that out. The Falcons have been playing their best defense of the season these last 3 weeks as well too. And I think that they're up for a very good game Sunday. And that's why I'm taking them with the +9.5 to go ahead and get that good cover and possibly get the win as well too.
I like everything you're saying. I really do. I'm breaking down the team totals, and it's kind of intriguing. You got an Atlanta team, which is team total is 20.5, juiced over 160. So Vegas is telling you that they're going to get to 21 or more. A Dallas team, which is opened at 31, that was 30.5 over 149. They're basically telling you right off the bat they think it's going to be a 30-21 game. Dallas laid an egg last week. I expect to see Dak come back with full vengeance. It's all going to be on the defense. Do they allow this Atlanta team, who's now 4-4, into the game early like they allowed Denver? We bought the hook. We're taking the Cowboys -9. We're hoping for a double-digit win. But listen, I could easily see Atlanta covering a 7 or under game in this. Ryan's been moving the ball well. Cordarrelle Patterson has been a godsend for them. Ridley's still out currently, but expect a big game from Pitts. I'm taking a swing -9. Kind of betting on the come here, Pops, but we'll see how the boys do.
All right, some fun facts real quick. Notes I have on the game. Falcons 1-2 versus the NFC East this year. 1-2 over under versus the NFC East as well too. But they are doing very well on the road. They've won 3 out of their 4 games on the road. And also they're 2-2 against the spread and straight up as the underdog. But this is one thing that's kind of messed them up this year. They're 2-4 against the NFC. And we both know that they've done well, much better against the AFC after a 5-year run of just getting absolutely shredded by the AFC. So that's pretty good for the Falcons. And the Cowboys, 1-1 straight up versus the NFC South. We know they lost to Tampa Bay to start the season off. 2-0 against the spread, though. When it comes to playing against this division, they've also won 3 out of their 4 home games as well, too. Against the spread straight up, they've been absolutely great at home, except for last week. And then they're 4-1 at home on the season as well, too. And then they are also 4-1 versus the NFC as well, too. So it is what it is. Well, what I wanted to say was they've actually went over in 3 out of their 4 games at home. I meant to say that. Sorry about that. So pretty much, and then they're 4-1 against the NFC. So there's a lot of things that work out in the Cowboys' favor, and I think that a lot of people will see them as a bounce back. But once again, I call it a Vegas oversell. You know what I mean? Like, they know that. See, the odds makers are very smart. People think that sometimes they don't know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. They know that if they put the Cowboys out at a -4, they're going to have 95% of the action on the Cowboys. If you put them out at a 9, then this is how we get 50% of the spread. Y'all need to look at my Uncle Jimmy the Greek a little bit more because he had real game. If y'all want to know anything about sports betting, get on your little YouTube, putting Jimmy the Greek, and he will put you up on game. All we doing is his work. That's it. That's all me and Jeff is doing is Jimmy the Greek's work. You know, that's everybody. That's all of our uncle in this game. You know what I mean? So, you know, now we got the Saints at the Titans. I love Jimmy the Greek. I don't care what nobody says. And I know the way he went out was a messed up way to go out, but it is what it is at the end of the day. It was showing you how society was about to become. You know what I mean? Because he didn't say anything that was wrong, and the people that he was referring to weren't even mad about it. That was more of I would feel like that was more of a last straw thing with him, because he used to be able to run the room and tell people what he wanted to tell them. And I think that was everybody's breaking point with him, that this could be a way that we could get him off TV, you know what I mean, and get him out the room. But all he did was just be 40 years ahead of his time. If that man, I know he wouldn't be alive today because he's already fairly old at that point when he passed. But if he was somewhat in the area around his age, who he was back in the 70s and 80s in today's world, watch out, Vegas Dave. You know what I mean? Vegas Dave, you ain't got nothing on Jimmy the Greek, boy. You know what I mean? You ain't Vegas Dave. Well, let's get to the game. Which got, because you know, I don't want to get over Dave, but the thing is, I thought I saw about the boxing match the other night too. But we got the Saints and the Titans tonight, and we have ourselves a Saints and Titans. I mean, I'm sorry, not tonight, but Saints and Titans. What I have in my notes, you got a Saints team coming in here 5-3. They're 1-0 versus the AFC, 0-1 over and under versus the AFC. They've won 3 out of 4 on the road as well too. They're 2-2 against the spread on the road, and they're 2-2 over and under on the road. But this is the alarming stat, Jeff. They are 3-0 as an underdog, and then they're 1-2. They've went under in 2 out of their 3 games. Now the Titans coming here 2-1 versus the NFC, 2-1 over and under versus the NFC. They're 3-1 at home as well too. They're 1-3. They went under in 3 out of their 4 games at home. And then when it comes to being a favorite, they're 3-2 on the season, but they have only covered 2 out of the 5 times that they've been the favorite. So they're 2-3 in that category. So when I look at that, you have no Derrick Henry this week. So pretty much what this tells me is that you had a great win against the Rams that nobody expected. And this week, you go against a team that you should be able to dominate. And when you look at it, you say to yourself, how are they only a 3-point favorite against a team that doesn't have an A1 quarterback? Trevor Siemian's a good stopgap guy, but he still knows how to win football games, right? So I'm catching on to what Vegas is doing. They're trying to not oversell the Titans this week because they know that this could be a game where it's a trap. And pretty much what they're going to do is they're going to try to entice a lot of people to jump on the Titans this week after last week's performance. And they're going to go ahead and get popped this week, because when a team's a 6-point favorite the week before and then come back as a 3-point underdog and they've been playing their best ball on the road, I'm going to take the road team because they got a lot on their mind. They lost the game they should have won because they came all the way back. If you don't get a 64-yard reception, you don't get that situation. So I like the Saints, and I'm taking the Saints with the plus 125 in this spot. I think that they'll be good money, Jeff.
Titans have been an absolute cash cow money machine, and they're just rolling. Their defense has got a lot better. No Henry, no problem against the Rams. And again, they didn't just win in the last 2 seconds against the Rams. They stomped the Rams. And last week, the Saints battled all the way back, like you said, and then Cordarrelle catches a 64-yard pass down the sidelines. Just looking at the numbers here, opened at 44.5. That's the computer model. Opened at 45. 56% of the bets coming in on Tennessee, yet it's been a line freeze at 3. My numbers say 24-21. 23-21. I'm following the lead here. I think the Saints go marching home, Pops. I'm taking the plus 125, and I think the Saints get to 6-3 this week.
Let's do it, and that's what I like it. I just think that The Titans had a game that nobody expected them to win. But the funny thing about the Titans is that this team has been an underdog like 5 times this year, and they've won every single time. They've been a dog half of the time this season because they've been going against juggernauts in the AFC West. And the only time that I'm looking at it now too. The only time that they took them serious, the only time they were a favorite in a game against another team that's considered elite was opening day, and they haven't been taken seriously since. In that point, they're 6-3 against the spread. Also, they're 4-0 straight up as the underdog as well too. So that's just really really good stat for a team. You know what I mean? And I think back-to-back wins as a dog. So if you've been betting them all season as a dog, you got some good money in your pocket right now. Seriously. All right, so let's get on to the game that we can blow by pretty quickly. Okay, Jaguars, you stink. All right, they got a good win last week, but that's what we like to call luck at the same time too, brother. You know what I mean? That was one of the luckiest wins you'll ever get in the NFL. 9-6. I think that the Jaguars defense is coming of age, but people have to understand this about the Jaguars. The Jaguars will cover 1 week, and then we look like absolute dookie the next week. Last week they covered. This week they're probably not going to look that great. The Colts come in here against the spread. They've covered 6 out of their 9 games this season. They are also 3-1 as the favorite against the spread and straight up. And then they're also pretty much in this situation right now where they've already played 3 divisional games this year as well too. So they really do need this win to get to 2-2, get to 5-5, so they can get themselves back into the picture when it comes to the AFC playoff race. And then you have a Jaguars team that's 3-5 against the spread. They went under in 6 out of their 8 games this year. And then as a underdog, they are 3-4 against the spread. And when it comes to the being straight up, they're 3-4 as well too in that category. So when you look at it, they're going against a Colts team that actually has heated up, as I said before. And, I think that everybody kind of got the memo with the Colts when they had that game against Baltimore. Even though they didn't win the game, they showed that they can compete, that they can be right there with you. And then when they beat San Francisco, that gave everybody a good idea that, you can trust the Colts, especially in games against teams that are bad. Because when you look at their schedule and you put their schedule against anybody else in the NFL, they got a really tough schedule. Other than the games that they've won, because Miami's a 1-18, we got 2-16 in the Jets, and then San Francisco's not playing well at all, and then you got Houston, who's another 1-win team. So this is where their wins came from. But still, they were going their losses: Seattle, the Rams, Tennessee twice, and then Baltimore. Those are teams that were considered playoff teams this year. So them going against Jacksonville is an easy call. They win this game by 2 touchdowns or better. And I hate talking like this on a double-digit spread, but it is what it is at the end of the day. The Colts roll. Michael Pittman's been playing hellified football, the former USC standout, and I just think the Colts get this game. I'm taking the 10.5. No sweat off my back, brother.
I agree with everything you're saying. The Jags now have 2 wins. They're either in the game with a chance to win or getting blown out. Numbers say right now 28-18. If you really want to break down these numbers, it's 28-17. That's what Vegas is telling me right now. What we did is we bought the hook. We took the Jags plus 11. We're hoping they keep it close. We're hoping Lawrence, wins that turnover battle. We're hoping James Robinson comes back. We're hoping Agnew and LaVisca have a good day. We're hoping Mr. Arnold, the tight end. Again, hope, and hope. It's a game where you blink and you could get steamrolled. And the Jags are in a perfect spot after just beating the Bills to travel to Indianapolis and kind of take this game off. And they're going to get no help from their coach. Reich is going to just destroy this man. But we took the 11 with the Jags. We're just hoping that the Jags can get to 20, 21, maybe 23, and keep the game close, Pops.
Right, and you got some smart thinking going on, man. They've won their last 2 out of 3. Yeah, they got 2 wins on the season, but they came in the last 3 weeks as well, too. So now it's different. You know what I mean? It's not like it was the first 5 weeks of the year. They've now gotten a little comfortable, but I'm looking at how the score reflects week in and week out with them. They're just not covering week in and week out. The first 3 weeks of the season didn't cover one time. They finally covered against Cincinnati, came back the next week, didn't cover. Yeah, one beat Miami, so that's an auto cover. Then they beat below last week, but the week prior to that, lose 31-7. So, this week I just can't do it because it seems like every week I jump on them to do something good. They don't. So I think that you're in the right boat, but I'm just going to take a risk again with the Colts for the second week in a row as a double-digit favorite because they look so good against the Jets, who I consider a much better team at this point, and we'll talk about that when we get to the Jets. All right, so with that, we're going to be right back with the NFL Bet Exchange. So you guys stay tuned. I'm your host, Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, and your other host, the Don of Cape Cod, Jeff Dawson, and we'll be right back.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll have another in Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
Yeah, just know one thing. All the shows that are in my little commercials and ads and things will be returning top of 2022 as well, too. I'm working on something real big for Big Wave Boxing, like a little mini movie and everything. Literally every interview I've ever done that was a real good one, you know what I mean, and put them all together in like documentary form and stuff like that so people can kind of get a good idea about, the people that I've dealt with in boxing over the last few years and stuff like that, and interviewed and had the opportunity to be around and all that good stuff. So you guys be on the lookout for that. And then also with Hoops 101, we're going to make that more of a documentary salute to certain teams like, the 95 Bruins or the 96 Hoyas, teams that might not get enough love from just pretty much the media and all these people that talk about sports on a daily basis, because there's more teams than the 96 Bulls, okay, guys? You know what I mean? There's more great teams other than that. I know. And we're going to talk about this soon, Jeff, but I want to know what your thoughts are about what Scottie Pippen was saying, but this isn't an NBA show, so we'll save that for Monday. But I love every moment of it because it's just – people just can't accept the truth, and it is what it is at the end of the day. He knows the man. You don't. It's different.
And then I'll just add this, too, because, again, the media all wanted to get the stories from the GOAT, from Michael Jordan. So you're never going to badmouth Michael Jordan, or you're never going to get the interviews. You're never going to get the stories. I came on radio. I've been on a few shows, and I told you the conspiracy theory about really what happened to his dad, and it's not pleasant. We all know Mike had gambling issues, and he paid who he wanted to pay, and rumor had it he was connected to some guys that he wasn't paying that you make sure you pay. But Scotty's disgruntled. We know that. He's upset. Why? Because, Jordan was nothing till till Scotty came and so forth. So again, we'll talk more about this on Monday. But I kind of feel for Scotty. I really do. Good ball player, great ball player, and he didn't get his due. And then they bring in Kukoc, and the rest was history after that.
Right. So, hey, it is what it is. And there's a lot of astonishing arguments for both sides, to be honest with you. But let's go ahead and get into the Bills and the Jets, a good old AFL matchup. Hey, guys, it's an AFC matchup. No. When you get Bills and Jets and Chargers and Raiders and Chiefs and Raiders and Bills and Pats and Bills and Dolphins, and this is a old school AFL party. Party. You already know. And so pretty much once again, we got the Bills and the Jets, one of the greatest rivalries in all of New York, in the Northeast. And the Jets, you know what? Salah. Finally, Salah is getting all he needed was a quarterback. And Mike White and Johnson have been absolutely good. I'm still surprised that Johnson doesn't get the start because he played damn good, but it's crazy. In 3 days, you got two quarterbacks to throw over 300 yards. Something Zack Wilson just couldn't even get close to doing. So this goes back to where it says where Salah was kind of handcuffed to put this kid in there. He knew he wasn't ready. We knew he wasn't ready. Saw the preseason games. He wasn't ready. But New York has this infatuation with trying to bring in the next Broadway Joe. You know what I mean? And that's what the biggest problem is. Mark Sanchez was good for you. You messed that up. Chad Pennington was manageable. You messed that. Well, you didn't really mess that up. It just kind of ended on its own. But you know what I mean, brother. You know what I mean. And Zack Wilson was another high-end quarterback that you guys picked up. And you're pretty much are not developing him. And we can see that you don't have time for a rookie. It's that simple in New York. You got to have an established guy. Mike White is doing exactly what Derek Anderson did when he was able to come into being a great quarterback. But then they got a backup who's a third stringer who literally got the call over Flacco, who's on the Jets as well, too. And he did a damn good job in that game and brought him back. They lost by 15, but it was a good loss by 15. It wasn't like they just was bad. They showed that they could play some offense. Something that we didn't see the first month of the year with the Jets at all. Like, can they even? And then also, when you get beat down 54-13, you're not going to look at the game the same way anymore. You're going to take the game very seriously now. And that's exactly what the Jets did. And the Jets have pretty much put themselves in a better position now to, grow. And I think that we knew Salah was going to be a great coach. We talked about this when we talked about our previews with the Jets, that he would be a really good coach. Now it's time for it to pay dividends. And I would say this, that this will probably be a different team next year. But I think this team could win 5-6 games by the end of the year, to be honest with you. They're playing really good football, and they don't have 2 wins over some sorry teams. They got 2 wins over teams that are in a playoff race. So, Bills beware. This is not a bye week for you. I know a lot of these talking heads and a lot of these people that just watch the highlights feel like you're going to get whooped, but I don't see that happening. I think that the Jets, honestly, to be dead honest with you, I think that the Jets are good for a nice cover. They haven't been able to cover. They've been able to cover spreads like this after a quick, turnaround, after a good time. I think they got their first win after a bye. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Jets with the plus 13. I like what I see. I always thought Saleh was going to be a really good coach, and now it's starting to pay dividends. But just don't Brian Flores yourself. That's all I can say. Don't get too cute like he did, because he's probably not going to be with the Dolphins by the end of the year.
We wager on the Cowboys, betting on the come, and the whole world again is on the Bills on the come. Listen, they were 14, 15, 16-point favorites at Jacksonville last week, put up 6 points and got the loss. This line opened at 13.5. That's what the computer model has. 71% of the bets are all coming in on the Bills, yet the number is 12.5 right now at Jazz, 12.5 at South Point, flat 12s at Westgate and William Hill, 11.5 at Circa. I'm with you, Pops. JETS, give us the plus 13 and let's go. Big Mike's at the helm behind the center. Let's get the running back, Mr. Carter, going. Corey Davis will be back. The crowd will be going crazy. Hey, let's just win the turnover battle. Your team total is at 17.5, under 130. Can we get to 20, 21, 23? Bills are going to be pretty peed off. So if you get into a gunfight with Mr. Allen and lose this turnover battle, this game's going to get ugly. So let's win the turnover battle. Let's keep Buffalo and Allen on the sidelines, play a little keep away, and let's keep this game close. Jets plus 13, Pops.
Yep, and you know what? I think the Jets do have to score, though. They got to get over 20 in this one, at least, because the Bills are going to figure it out. But we know this is an AFC East Battle of New York game. These games are not the type of games that are firefights. They always wind up being low-scoring, very intense games. And I think that if the Jets can keep this thing very close and keep the score intact and score and reach, it could be a monster upset on Sunday as well, too, because the Bills looking a little shaky once they told them that they was the top team in the league. I still like them. But you and me both can agree that they look a little shaky. But they got to stop overlooking their opponents as well, too. That's been becoming a real issue with this team over the last few weeks as well, too. All right, let's move forward. And we talk about the Lions and the Steelers. And the Lions and the Steelers do have a fun history with each other. This is where it goes back to where, like, the Browns and the Steelers should be with the Bears and the Lions. It would be a much, much better – and I guess the Packers, too, but you know what I mean. That, you know, in the old NFL days, Lions and Steelers were big rivals. So at one point, I think that, and they are part of one of the greatest trades in NFL history. Bobby Lane, the great Bobby Lane, was traded to the Steelers after being accused of fixing the game. Just want to throw that fun fact out there. Bobby Lane was a gambler too, and they said that to save life, they had to trade him, because the thing was it was a point situation, and instead of going for the kick, they wanted to go for 2 to get the game tied up and in the game in a tie. So there's a lot of stories around that, but all in all, we got the Lions and the Steelers, and they've given us some great moments. The Jerome Bettis messed up coin toss game, Thanksgiving as well. So, you know, you got Detroit coming in here plus 310 on the road, still winless, and they had a bye week, so they got to know each other a little bit better. And I feel bad for Jared Goff because he's getting the brunt of the blame of the situation, but the coach is awful. It's that simple. And, you know, when they tell me that he's not the problem, then Detroit fans are just really, they've just given up. Seriously. You know what I mean? They don't care about winning no more. Because if you say he's not the problem, then, you know, because this team, I think with a better coach, they could at least have 3 wins on the season, to be honest with you. Goff is not that bad of a quarterback. He's a winner, you know, since college. And you're just giving him a bad scheme. That's it. You know, you're trying to run the same plays that the Rams used to run with them, and you're not being ad-libbing because you got some good athletes on the outside, on as the receivers. You got a great tight end as well too, and you got two really good running backs. So what's the problem? They addressed the problem by getting a lineman in the draft. I thought that, they were moving on up because usually when you get a lineman in the top 10, your team actually gets about 4 or 5 more wins than they did the season before. Because this guy, if he comes in and he's ready to go, be a day one pro, then it kind of gets a domino effect of good vibes. I'm remembering when Joe Thomas was drafted by the Browns. They had a 10-6 season by the time that was all said and done. They ain't made the playoffs, but still, it was an improvement. You know what I mean? Because the culture's changed. But I truly do think that the Steelers are going to come into this game and they know that they can't overlook the Lions like they did last week with the Bears, because they're even more dangerous than the Bears because they're desperate. And they're coming up with every single way to try to win a game. They are abusing watching tape weekly against their opponents. So it's not hard for me to say this week that I'm not going to take the Lions, because the Lions have been burning up money, and I know it's the Lions. And last week was the Lions' week to cover against the Rams. This week is their week to get beat down and like beat up with fist fight, beat down. You know what I mean? Kicked and stomped. So I don't even like to trust Pittsburgh with this many points nowadays since we got ancient Ben Roethlisberger. But I'm going to have to go ahead and do it, though, Jeff. And I'm going to have to take the Steelers with the 8.5.
I mean, on paper, it's a mismatch. I mean, the real big separator is the Steelers D. The computer model has 9.5 with a 44. 76% of the bets coming in right now are on the Lions. The number is at 9 at Pinnacle. I got an 8 at Jazz. I also have an 8 at Westgate, William Hill, Circa, Caesars. Team total for the Lions, 16.5, juiced over 120. Can the Lions get to 17? Can they get to 20, 21, 23? I mean, that's the key. And how does their defense play? They've had some shining moments. They were robbed against, obviously, the Ravens. They were robbed a couple times on the road. I'm expecting a decent effort by the Lions. I'll take the points versus Big Ben giving up 8.5, 9 points. We bought the hook here, Pops. Lions +9, -120. We could get big egg on our face here, but we're going to take a shot that it's the good Lions this week.
And it's funny because when you take the Lions, they seem to pull up. They pull up every time for Jeff. When I take him, they like, I'm confident. You're the dog bet of the week. You're dog bet of the week, and they're gonna do this, and they're gonna be better because Goff is gonna do that. Yeah. And then they go over there, and their coach starts crying at the press conference because they just lost by 40 points. They try so hard. Yeah, okay, whatever. Just like your career, you were third stringer. See, this is what happens when third stringers are your head coach. At least you be a second stringer, like Kubiak. All right, so we move on. We got the Bucks and the Bucks and the Washington football team. The Washington football team is a team that I feel like that's just gonna go berserk soon, where they're gonna actually in the area that we thought they would be stepping it up in, and that's defense. And with Tyler, with Heineke, he brings a Doug Flutie element to the table. So when you got him out there, that kid can do magic for you, I think. I like him. And I think that he's going to do the same exact, and already having experience with against Tom and crew, I think he's going to do well against the Bucks, who don't have the world's greatest defense. They got a good linebacker core and a good and some good veterans on the line and everything like that. But their back end is terrible. And I think the way that he scrambles and the way that he keeps plays alive, this will be very good for guys like Terry McLaurin, who can get open because of this. Because they're going to try to make them work a little bit harder. And this game is going to be in Washington as well too. And they still have that on their mind as well too of what happened before. You know what I mean? Where they came in and they were, they hung tough. You know what I mean? They didn't win, but they hung tough. You know what I mean? In the playoffs last year, and I think they can use that as some confidence. Now, when I look at Washington, they're 2-6 on the year. That's not good, but they're also, against the spread, they've dropped 7 out of 8. Over under, they're even, but as an underdog, they're 1-4 against the spread and 1-3 straight up. So it's kind of hapless right now when you see that. And once again, this is going to be an oversight and overbet. And I think with the week off, Washington's refreshed, and I'm going to go ahead and take them with the plus 9.5. I think that they should be here. I know that they have. When you look at their record, they haven't done any. They're terrible. They're money burners. But this is the game where the money burner actually becomes a money earner.
Both teams coming off a bye week. That Washington defense, everyone thought was going to be so great, has been awful. Maybe coach can get something together over the bye week. Maybe this will be the defense we're all expecting. Again, it is the matchup on opening week where I think Tom and the crew were 10.5, 11-point favorites against Heineke and the Washington football team. And it was a tight game. It was a great game. I will say this, though. After the bye week last year, Tom and the Bucks took off. They swept the board, and then they swept the board in the playoffs and obviously won the Super Bowl. We're going to follow your lead here, Pops. We bought the hook. We took it to 10, minus the 120. 11 or more beats us. We're hoping a good day from McKissick. We don't know what Gibson's shin's all about. McLaurin hopefully has a big day as well. And we're hoping that the defense can put some pressure on Tom, maybe create him a little happy feet, as we like to say, deer in the headlight. That's how you beat Tom, is get him off of his spots. And I kind of like the Washington football team this week to keep this one close. Their team total is, let's get that team total before we move on, 20.5 over minus 115. Tampa is 30.5 over 114. So can Washington get to that 21, 23, or 24? I think they can. And if not, I think their defense might slow Tom down as well. So give us the Washington football team plus the 10.
All right. So there it is. We move on. And this is going to be the game of the early portion of the day. You got Bill, MMF, and Belichick going against the team that started him out as a head coach. But this is a different team. This isn't the team, because that situation is in Baltimore. But some of the most beautiful words that a Cleveland Brown could hear Bill Belichick ever say was, "I didn't come to coach the Baltimore Ravens. I came to coach the Cleveland Browns. Peace out." Yeah, they always say Modell fired him, but it was a mutual agreement because he wasn't going to Baltimore with him. He had already said that. You know what I mean? So pretty much, yeah. So you got that part. But here goes the crazy facts about how similar the Patriots and the Browns are. You know what I mean? Like when you look at everything, they have two quarterbacks that are very good game managers, but they might not be quarterbacks that can just push it down the field like that. And then they got both of them have two very good defenses as well too. And then I would say this, that they both have great offensive lines as well too, because they're both able to have. Well, the Browns got a great running game, but the Patriots have been good this year as well too. So this is a game that really feels like it's a playoff game, to be honest with you. It's a lot that can go into this one. And I think that when you look at everything at the end of the day, you have a Browns team that, they lost their first game of the season, should have won. So easily they could have been 4-0 to start the year. And easily they could be 8-1 right now as well too. So you have a team that's confidence probably has hit the top level since they got the drama out the room. The best thing for the Browns to do was what they did this week. Let OBJ walk down the road. And now you can go ahead and you can go be a diva somewhere else. He never contributed anything huge to the Browns. He got a couple long touchdowns, but that was in the first season when he was with the team. Last 2 seasons, injury plagues and drop passes. So them not having him last week was a share for them. And you could see it. You could see it in Baker's eyes. I don't have to sit here and say, let me make sure I can find OBJ so he doesn't come over to the sideline, pissing in my ear about I missed the pass. No, he has receivers that he can depend on. And those drop passes in crucial moments of games wasn't that's not going to cut it. So he has the right receivers with him. Jarvis Landry can kind of open back up a little bit more as well, too, because he doesn't have to sit there and coddle his best friend anymore. And I think that the Browns are about to go streaking, to be honest with you. They start off the season with a good 3-game winning streak. And I think that we're at the midpoint now. They're confident, and I think that they're going to go into a nice little win streak as we move into their bye week, which is going to be week 13. So they have New England now, home game against Detroit next week, and then the enchilada on Sunday Night Football against the Ravens. I think that they can go run the table on all 3 of these games right now. But first, they got to win Sunday, and I am taking the Browns to win the game Sunday. I'm taking the plus 105. I think they'll be good. I know there's no Nick Chubb. I know that Demetric Felton, who's another really good who's a really good flip, can be a running back and a wide receiver. I know he's not going to be there either. But what this does is gives my man Dearness some more reps because I love me some Dearness Johnson. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get that going, Jeff. Browns plus 105. Let's roll.
This spread, this number reminds me exactly of the opening day game against the Dolphins, and the Pats eventually threw that game away with a costly fumble and interception late. Computer model opened it up, Pats -3, under over 24 and a hook. They're telling you right away 24-21. That's what they're saying. 69% of the bets all rolling in on the Browns right now. Yet the line is 2.5. There is a flat 2 at South Point right now. Say hello to Chris Andrew and the boys if you're over there. 2.5 on the Vegas Strip. I agree with everything that you said. Was on the Browns last week against the Bengals. I just going to take one swing here with the Pats and the money line minus the 125. Reason is the Pats defense has really stepped it up. I think you're going to see Mac throw the ball a lot more this week. Last week, they knew Carolina couldn't move the ball and they could just run as much as they wanted. The winner of this game, Pops, is going to be 6-4 and own the tiebreaker on the other. The loser falls to 5-5. The winner of this game, good chance to make the playoffs. Going to take a swing with the home team and the Pats. If my memory serves me correct, I think they're like the Niners. They haven't won yet at home. So going to be tough. I could see your side, no doubt. But give us the Pats just to win, baby, minus the 125 money line.
And correction, the 54-13 game was in New England.
Oh, that's right. Correct. That was their first game that they had won all year against the Jets. Right. You are correct.
But they dropped the first 4. And yes, that's very unfamiliar of that's very, very unfamiliar of the Patriots. So it's very understandable. Now let's go ahead and jump into the late games, the afternoon games, the games where Jeff gets to eat dinner and watch the game at the same time. That's our lunch. That's a lunchtime game in California. That's where everybody, pretty much is at the sports bars and all that stuff with their little cute jerseys and all that good stuff. So, yeah. So really pretty much, and thank you. But yes, we're going to go ahead and take our quick break real quick. I forgot. I totally blipped. I'm just so into the shout. So pretty much we'll be right back and you guys stay tuned. This is the NFL Bet Exchange.
Now you and your friends can compete in the sport of kings and win big with Stable Duel. Get the app, pick your horses, and get in on the thrill of horse racing with daily games competing against other players. Bring home the glory and the cash and move up the annual leaderboard while you leave your competition in the dust. Get in the game with Stable Duel. Play, race, win.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
All right, we are back, and let's go ahead and jump into this Vikings and Chargers game. This is going to be one of those SoFi games that's probably going to have a lot of purple at it, to be honest with you. Now, with that, I would say this, is that pretty much you have yourself a spot where you can go ahead and have some fun at, in my opinion, brother. And you know why I say that? Because this week, after what happened last week in Baltimore, Minnesota should be fired up. And then they get to come to LA of all places. And then they're a dog in LA of all places as well, too. Knowing that they've been playing their best football of the season at this point as well, too. I'm looking at Minnesota. They had won 3 out of 4 before they went on their bye. Then they lost 2 in a row. But those 2 in a row, it was were 2 close losses to 2 teams that will most likely be in the playoffs, the Cowboys and the Ravens. So they come back this week against the Chargers team that's really good at blowing games in a spot like this. And I really, truly think that Kirk Cousins is going to have a day. And this game is going to look a lot like the game that I attended a few weeks back against the Cardinals. And you're going to see a one-sided game where the Vikings actually beat down this team. And you know why? Because they're going to be my dog bet of the week, and that's why. And I'm going to go ahead and take them over at plus 150, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. So pretty much, Vikings, fight on, baby. Let's see if you guys can come out here and embarrass the Chargers real quick, because the Chargers are in first place now. They got to mess it up, Jeff. You know that.
You know, we had the Vikings on the money line last Sunday at the ECSI VIP experience, and absolutely controlled the game all day, all night, and do what they do best: choke it late and lose in overtime. I love where your head is. Again, what we decided to do is we bought the hook. We took them up to 4. They said, you're not going to get us this week with the banana and the tailpipe, and, you know, win the game for 59 minutes and then lose by a field goal either at the end of the game or in overtime. So Vikings plus 4 minus the 120 for us. I think a big bounce back for the Vikings at 3-5. A much more needed, you know, a sense of urgency. We did the same thing with the Browns last week at Cincinnati. The sense of urgency was on the Brown side. I think the sense of urgency will definitely be on the Viking side here. A 3-5 team versus a 4-3 team. And historically, the Chargers at home has always struggled. And the Sharps usually play against the Chargers at home and go with them on the road. So give us Minnesota plus the 4. Let's I like where you are, Pops. I think they do win this game outright as well.
And when you look at the 3-5 record, they are sitting on the outside looking in when it comes to the top 7 who could be in the playoffs right now. But when I see Atlanta here, Atlanta is ripe for the picking. You know what I mean? You can hop over Atlanta, you know, because we know Atlanta's going to lose some key games here in the last 8 weeks of the season. But the thing is, though, Minnesota has to take care of their business, and taking care of their business starts in LA Sunday. All right, we move on, and we have the Panthers at the Cardinals. And this is actually pretty good of a moment for Cam Newton because he gets reunited.
Cam.
Whoa, Cam is back.
Cam.
He's back in Carolina after spending a year at the University of Bill Belichick, the Belichick University, and he's back home. But let me just put my 2 cents in here. It's going to be a 1-minute rant, so you can count. You say time, Jeff. Just count the time for me real quick. But okay, it's an hour and 20. Okay, I'm going at the 30-second mark. Okay, so I'm gonna give myself 1 minute. All right, here I go. Carolina, you may be the dumbest franchise I've ever seen in my life. Why would you go ahead and cut your franchise quarterback, your all-time great quarterback, the quarterback that will always be simultaneous with all your greatest successes, other than a guy named Jake Delhomme, who was a part of something that was kind of makeshift, and you got kind of lucky with that situation. Kerry Collins was able to take advantage of them having a great expansion draft and then making the playoffs the next year, 13-3 in a bad NFL season. Let's keep it real. That was a bad year. You had a Cowboys team that was getting old, and you had a San Francisco team that was getting old. And Carolina kind of just stepped in there with all these great free agents that they were able to acquire through a draft and through free agency. So you draft Cam Newton, one of the greatest college football players we have ever seen, period, point blank. Jeff's eyes got big, but I'm right. Cam is one of the greatest to ever step on the field, period, point blank, because he was literally Superman, like he used to advertise. So the first thing he did was come to the Panthers and break an NFL rookie record and threw for 415 yards in his first game. So he gets signed back up on the team the week that he plays against the same team he started his career against. That is epic in itself. And it's funny because it's all smiles and hugs and everything. But you never had to get rid of the guy in the first place. And Matt Rule probably would have been able to get to the playoffs last year if he would have kept Cam Newton. And if they would have been probably in a better position right now. Yes, you started off 3-0 on the season, but you could probably only be losing 2 games right now if Cam was still your quarterback. Why? Because he's your guy, and he's already established himself in the community of your city. They see him as a legend. You just don't disregard legends the way that the Panthers did. And that's why you look so stupid today signing him back up, and you had to pay him as well, too. So that's my 2 cents on that. And pretty much when it comes down to the game, the Panthers are in good position right now, too. They're 4-5. They're sitting right outside looking in on the playoff picture. They have the one up over Atlanta as well, too, with the win a few weeks back. I think that Cam's not going to play this week, but the backup that they have in place, Mr. Phil, the guy that was that made Temple look like a feasible college football team and was Matt Rule's knight in shining armor, who helped propel him to the Baylor job. Philip Thomas, who would have been the XFL MVP, is dangerous, and I'm taking the Panthers with +10. He could possibly go in there and shake up the apple cart a little bit. This guy can play, Jeff. Now, the backup that they got coming in there is really, really good, and I know you know this from his days with the Houston Roughnecks. And one last thing. I still don't know if Kyler's going to be 100%. And this is the type of game where your coach will say, oh, we'll sit him out because this team isn't as good as other teams. And I think if he doesn't play, that's going to be a big issue. And if he does play, it's going to be a big issue because you're going against one of the teams that are very good defensively, and they get to the quarterback as well, too.
The spread of 10 tells me that Vegas is banking on Murray playing. I don't know about D-Hop, getting a little PO'd about him, but that's another story. I'm going to piggyback on you on the Cam situation, is because when the head coach was there before Rule got there, there was a little fading into the sunset there. Rule comes in. I'm going to tell you the true story, what I think. I said this in preseason, and this move here is going to piggyback it, Pops. They're 4-5 going nowhere. They could have kept on this train. They could have brought in P.J. Walker, saw what he had, and get back into the draft, get a good draft pick, and maybe a quarterback. They've been tied at length. We're still holding tickets for Deshaun Watson to Carolina. Okay. So with Miami not making that deal before the trade deadline, Deshaun will now be traded in the offseason or before the draft. I'm going to go the next step and say they bring Cam in here to keep fannies in the seats, hope to win a few games, hope to keep them into the playoff punch, knowing that they will have Watson as their quarterback next year. So for us, we bought the hook. We took the Cardinals minus the half point to 9.5. Listen, Colt McCoy did the job in San Fran last week. If they get fat on themselves and don't take Carolina seriously, well, there could be egg on their face because it is a defense that gets to the quarterback. Offensively, they have struggled. CMC's back, but the point is they just can't score right now. DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson couldn't catch a football if it was you and I throwing a Nerf back in the park. And their rookie there, Terrence Marshall, has not done anything. So we're taking the Arizona Desert Swarm minus 9.5, minus the 120. Hope that they win by double digits or more points.
I heard that. So there it is. And you are in a good place because you are dealing with the team that's only lost once at home, and that was against the Packers. So, they are in a spot where they can be trusted at. Now, we have ourselves how did this come about? I don't know. Okay. So let me get us situated back. I thought I had the right flow, baby, but we got the Eagles this week, and the Eagles find themselves in another great matchup this week. And you know what? The Eagles cannot be slept on. I don't know how it became supposed to be Eagles, Broncos, but sorry about that. But you got a Broncos team that's fairly slept on. And when you look at the playoff picture, the Broncos are number 7 at 5-4. But the craziest part about it is you have 5 teams that are 5-4 in the AFC. And the Patriots are holding the bag for over everybody. And, then it's Kansas City before that. So this is crazy because you got divisional rivals that are right here in the mix of things. So you look at Philly, and Philly is not too far out of their race either, but they're 3-6, but they're getting good wins though. You know what I mean? This season, even though they've been against teams that they were supposed to be, except for Carolina, they've thorough beatdowns, their wins. So this is a team that can be in any game. And I know that a lot of people probably will love the Eagles Sunday because the way that the matchup sets up. But I think that defense, by getting Von Miller out the room, sometimes when you got a big persona and a big time player, and they get to those end years, they start becoming kind of a hindrance to the growth and development of what you're doing. And that's why they sent him down the road, because there's things that they were doing better without him. So last week was a good way to show what we have, what we've been holding up. Great running back, Javonte Smith last week did a great job. Great receivers. You got a good quarterback in Bridgewater that can keep things in running. And they might have one of the most unheralded secondaries in the league. Bertan and Trell, those guys can play. You know what I mean? Those guys are big monsters. They're like creative players out there. So I like what I see with Denver going into this week, Jeff, and I think that it's not going to be hard for me to take them with the minus 145. I think they get a good win because the Eagles don't have good enough defense at the same time, too. Yeah, they played well last week. Well, they played well in their they didn't play that well last week, the defense, but the week prior to that, yeah, they did pretty good against the lowly Lions, but other than that, the defense has been bad. You saw what the Raiders chewed them apart. You know what I mean? The Chiefs chewed them apart. It's kind of been a trend here in the AFC West to when we get to the Eagles, it's time to get us some fantasy stats. So I love the Broncos in the spot. Minus 145. Let's see how it shakes out.
The Eagles have been the Jekyll and Hyde. Vegas has been bullish on these Broncos all year long, and hats off. I mean, they saw something that a lot of us didn't. They move on from Von Miller and they just go to Dallas and absolutely opened up a can of whoop. And now, so you take the Eagles and they get blown out. You go against the Eagles and they look like world beaters. I'm looking, this is the week for the 3-5 team pops. I really do. And as we're going to get to a couple of them as well, as I'm looking at some teams here that are 3-5 that I think are going to pop this week. The Vikings is one of them. The Seahawks is another one. Russ will be back. And I think the Eagles are going to come in here and steal this one as well. I think maybe now, I still don't like how Jalen is thinking run first before the pass. When he sets his feet and he stops, he hits Devontae Smith in stride for a nice touchdown. He's got to look for more of that. Godare, get healthy. Rieger, get healthy. Hey, can you do something with the backs here? They got a three-headed monster now. Jordan Howard, Boston Scott, and Kenneth Gainwell. They could run the wishbone if they want. So I think they're starting to put things together. We'll know more on Monday when we're talking on your show about how they got blown out by 50. But I'm going to take the Eagles. I don't need the points here. I'll take the plus 125. I'll ride them and see what happens.
I like it. Seeing this is a 50-50 split. This is going to have both sides of bettors on each side. You're going to have people that feel Jalen Hurts is going to have a huge game, and then you're going to have people that are going to feel like the Broncos will have a good conservative game where they pretty much choke you out at Mile High. And we've came to know this in the second half of the day that when you go to that stadium in Colorado, it's going to be a tough game. It's not going to be no walk in the park. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out, and we move forward from there. We got the Seahawks at the Packers, and this has became a fun little rivalry since the Holmgren years and when he was there, all that good stuff. So Seahawks and Packers are very connected at the hip in a sense. So when I look at this, you got a Seahawks team coming into this one, and they got a good win but it's the Jaguars. So, you're supposed to win that game. So pretty much that's what happens there is that you get the win there, and then you get a bye week, and then you're going to get your quarterback back as well too. Looks like Green Bay is going to have Aaron Rodgers as well. So there's going to be more controversy about, he did this, he did that. So I know a lot of people are expecting a bad week from the Packers, but their bad week was last week. This is a new week. Aaron Rodgers is really going to have revenge on his mind, and that revenge is going to be taking it out on all the people who had so much to say about what he's doing. You know what I mean? So pretty much I like what I see here. And let me give you a fun fact. I couldn't believe it myself when I saw it, but a lot of people might not know this, but the Packers have actually won the last 9 contests at Green Bay against the Seahawks, including the playoffs. And that includes some pretty great playoff games as well, too. The Predator pick 6, and the great comeback that the Packers had a few years back. So, this has been a tough ask for the Seahawks over the last decade. And over the last 9 times they played. And to give you this fact, they haven't beat the Packers in Green Bay since 1999. And that goes back 22 years. I'm shocked, to be honest with you. I thought that the Seahawks at least have gotten 1 win there. So I'm taking the Packers with the -3. I think the Packers absolutely welcome back Russell, and I think that once again this is going to be an oversight and over bet because Russell's going to be back. It's going to entice people, and they're going to feel like Rodgers is going to be a little off like he was in week 1. I don't think that's the case. Seattle's defense isn't good enough for me to say I'm backing them. I just can't do it right now until they show me that they can slow things down a little bit against really good teams. I can't do it, but we'll see how it goes.
I'm a firm believer. I always talk at ECSI about you buying the sizzle of the steak and I'm always a steak guy. I'll leave the sizzle to the public and the degens. But I have to lean to the sense of urgency here. 3-5, a loss here, 3-6, and you're talking. You probably got to go 7-1 maybe to sneak into the playoffs in the NFC this year. We know that the division's out of sight, but this is such a huge game. The return of Russ, I think Chris Carson might even be back. Now with Russ playing, Lockett now gets a tenfold better. He's been struggling without him. Gino, thanks. You held the spot, you kept it warm. But I think this is a Seahawks team that all of a sudden says, hey, our leader's back, and it's time now to shine. It's the second half of the year. We're not going to take the points here. We're all in. It's all or nothing again with another 3-5 team in desperation. Give us the Hawks plus the 155. Let's buck that trend since 1999. And let's not just cover. Let's leave Lambeau with a win.
All right. And y'all heard it there. So we are facing off in this game right here, and it's going to be the game of the afternoon. So it is what it is, and I can't wait, man. It's going to be a fun Sunday. It's going to be a very fun Sunday. So just know that we're thinking just like pretty much like how a lot of the bettors are thinking. So we going 50-50 on this one. That's exactly how this game is setting up as well, too. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out, but we will be back. So you guys stay tuned. This is NFL Bet Exchange.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll have another in Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, we are back. And what do we have here? We have Sunday Night Football. And Sunday Night Football live from the Death Star. Right off the 15 freeway in Las Vegas. You know what I mean? Right across the way from the Mandalay Bay is the. I like to call it Death Star because it's not going to be called Allegiant Stadium probably but another year or two because that actual company is actually bankrupt. So pretty much, and then I was like, I've never heard of this airline, but they're based in Las Vegas. So that's why they did all that because they only fly out of Vegas, I think. So we'll see how it goes because they're not even on the orbits list. This airline, I'm like, are they fancy or something? You know, but it's all good. So here we are. We got the Chiefs and the Raiders, and this one should be a lot of fun because you have Chiefs team coming in here with a lot of value. To be honest with you, minus 135 on the Chiefs is pretty good in a game where they're going to get most of the action. But from what I can see right now, a lot of people like the Raiders on the spread as well, too, going into this weekend. The Raiders have kind of became a popular choice. Now, this is something that is kind of alarming to me. Since 2013, the Chiefs are actually 13-3 against the Raiders. And 2 of those losses were on the road as well, too. And pretty much they did lose at home last season for the first time in like 7 years against the Raiders. And then pretty much the Chiefs coming here after, scoring their fewest points in the Mahomes era as well, too, that it's now a different story with this team. It's not the same anymore, and I think that a lot of people have to understand this is a regression year for Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes, the tape is out, brother, and you need to make some adjustments. And I think that possibly you might need to kind of relax on the commercials as well, too. You might want to just focus back in on being a top-notch NFL quarterback instead of trying to be a pitchman. So I think that this one is going to be a Mahomes prove it to us game. Because if they lose to the Raiders in this one, I would say get the playoffs out of your head, because they have a tough schedule after this Raider game, and then they got to see the Raiders again later on in the season. So the Raiders really don't have much to. Raiders have nothing to lose in this one. The Chiefs have everything to lose to me, because they want the Chiefs to be the top team in the AFC West so bad, but I just feel like it's not going to happen this year. They got way too much competition going on, one of the toughest divisions in football. I think that the Raiders come in here and they have another classic game, and they get revenge for what happened last year when they lost that game by just a few inches, to be honest with you. So I'm taking the Raiders with the plus 115. Let's see how it shakes out.
Listen, Mondays here, we've been butting heads all year. I've been staying on this Kansas City bandwagon. It's like 5-15 the last 20 against the spread. I've made every excuse. I've been sitting in my poop all year, and I look at this game, and this will be the game that I flip, and then Patrick Mahomes will be Patrick Mahomes. It's a game where not enough people are talking about the Raiders front seven. They've been putting so much pressure on quarterbacks, and if they can do that on Sunday, if Carr can get back to where he is, can you throw the damn ball to Waller once in a while? He's your best wide receiver, hands down, and you guys are just, maybe you're using him as a decoy. I don't know. Josh Jacobs banged up again, but Drake's there. Hunter Renfrow is your binky. Use him. I like the Raiders here. We bought the hook, took them plus the 3. We're off the Chiefs bandwagon, and now probably Patrick Mahomes will pull a Tom Brady and win the next 7 and cover every one of them, but not this week. Raiders plus 3, please.
And this is what I'm going to leave with as well, too. What makes me feel the Raiders can win this game and then possibly blow out the Chiefs if they can play if that front four gets to Mahomes as much as possible, is the fact that the Chiefs only have 12 sacks on the season. They're not getting to the quarterback. This is going to be something that works out very well for Derek Carr, to be honest with you. Derek Carr, I'm telling you now, if you have a daily fantasy team, he needs to be your starting quarterback. I feel like there's going to be a 450-yard passing game for him coming up as well, too. So you guys be on the lookout for that one as well. So, pretty much if he doesn't have pressure coming, he should be good. So there it is. We move forward. Are you ready for some Monday Night Football? Monday Night Party. This used to be a staple game of Monday Night Football in the 80s and early 90s. The Rams and the Niners, either in LA or either in San Francisco. So pretty much the LA Rams and San Francisco 49ers are a game that usually you have to put on one of these primetime slots, either a Sunday, Monday, or a Thursday. It's the oldest rivalry on the West Coast when it comes to professional football, so why not? 49ers coming in this game, plus 160. Niners are minus 190. Rams minus 190, plus 4. Spread 2 as well. You know what? The 49ers, once again, are not saying that they're throwing away the season, but this season, again, is going to probably just be another season where they're spending time in the top 15 of the draft. It's not because they're a bad team. It's because the injuries just wiped them out. It's that simple. And I think when they go back to the board, they'll probably be drafting one of the top linemen in the draft on the offensive side, because they got to keep this quarterback upright. They got a great running game as well, too. They got a lot of good running backs, just like Cleveland. So that's been their bread and butter. And since they can't get a consistent running game going anymore, it now puts a lot of pressure on Jimmy G, and this makes them really not be the team that we assume they could be this season. And it shows that Jimmy G is just a really great game manager, and the scheme has to be perfect for him to really help you win these football games. But we know that Jimmy G does have the dog in him, and that's what keeps San Francisco. That's what keeps the veins pumping. And it reminds me of Matthew McConaughey and Lenny DiCaprio in the first scene of Wolf of Wall Street. You know, that's the 49ers for you. Keep beating on your chest. Keep beating on your chest because you know you're going through some ups and downs. You was in the Super Bowl a few years back, but you know it's no fault of your own why you sitting here. Injuries are the worst part of the NFL. When you have a team that doesn't have their full unit on the field, and that full unit is an elite unit when they're all together, then you can't get to where you want to get to. And I think that this is putting Shanahan's job on the line as well too, because now we're 2 seasons removed, and we listen to you on this quarterback situation. And we don't want Jimmy G anymore. We overpaid for Jimmy G for you, and he's not paying the bills like we thought he would. We thought we'd be in the Super Bowl every year. We thought he could be like Tom and overcome these type of situations, keep you guys successful. He's not the guy. We gave up a lot of real estate for this guy, and this is on you. This is your finest hour considerably with the franchise. So that's why, you know, pretty much Shanahan to me is on the hot seat. Now the Rams go into this game and they're going to be pissed off from what happened on Sunday. Okay, simple as that. And McVay's going to have all types of schemes and scams going on in this game that should be able to help. But one thing about this situation is this. The 49ers have owned the Rams over the last 3 years as well, too. I think they've won the last 5 out of 6 because they swept them last year and the year before. So at this point in time, the 49ers kind of own the Rams since the Rams came back to LA. You know what I mean? Even in the year the Rams went to the Super Bowl, one of their one losses was to the 49ers. So the 49ers got a little bit of an edge, but this is where I can't pick the 49ers to win the game, but to cover. Shanahan's 1-4 on Monday Night Football. McVay's 4-1. So that's what I'm looking at, but I think the game is close. We get down to the nitty-gritty. It comes down to a kick. I'm taking +4 on the 49ers, brother.
It's the last of my 3-5 teams, Pops. San Fran 3-5 have not won at home. They haven't won a home game, I think, in 18 months. There is absolutely zero rhyme or reason to take the 49ers. I mean, the Rams coming off an embarrassing loss at home, now travel to the road. You expect the Rams to be ready, chomping at the bit. Not sure if they'll be unveiling Von Miller as well. I followed your lead. We bought the hook. 49ers +4.5 minus the 120. Desperation over the favorite. And that's been our motto this weekend, and we're going to keep it up. So we're taking the Niners plus the 4.5. Would not be shocked if they won outright, Pops.
Well, I would like to call the NFL on the NFL this week just Broadway, because it's going to be a lot of theater. Yes, sir. All right, so with that, that's going to be a wrap on another great show with my partner in crime, Mr. Don of Cape Cod, Jeff Dawson, and myself, the other host, the Primetime Capital, Mr. Pop DiBiase. So we thank you guys very much for tuning in. Jeff, any final thoughts before we roll?
Week 10, guys, coming off a 9-5 week. Hope to duplicate that even better. Again, we're in the second half of this season, okay? Take a look at that bankroll again. If you're sitting a little below where you started, you know, keep the units where you are or step a little off of them. If you're on the plus side riding us, you know, you might want to get a little froggy, bump it up an extra $10, $15 for the second half of the season. Always want you comfortable. Comfortable is the key to success. The marathon approach, not the sprint. So take a look in the mirror, see where you are, and we want you here the end of this month, the end of next month on 2022 and beyond. So have a blessed week and cash some tickets.
All right, and that is the NFL Bet Exchange. We'll see you guys next week for Week 11, and we bid adieu.
Thank you for tuning in to the NFL Bet Exchange, where the sharpest bets are laid. This show was produced by the Prime Wave Media Group.